Hi everybody, thank you for joining me and welcome to episode 5 of the Tarot Truth. I'm excited to be here with you guys. This is 5B because the first time I was booted offline. So if you want to hear the introductory comments the first time through, just look for the first part of this podcast. I don't know if the signal is strong enough for me to be able to complete this, but I'll just try one more time, and if it doesn't work, then what we'll do is I will record it and post it separately, okay? Because I just really like the live stream because I can pick up on the collective energy more. If you guys are just watching this one for the first time, please go down into the description box and subscribe to channel 1, 2, and 3. It's just a side project I'm working on, so I need you guys to subscribe to get it going. And also please comment and like the video, especially if you're watching a few days, months, or years after the video is posted. It's a timeless reading. So yeah, this is episode 5 of the Tarot Truth. Some people have been asking me if these are linear messages. They're not, but they are sort of interconnected. So there's things that I refer back between the readings, which you can watch for free on YouTube. So you can just watch each video individually. Today's topic is, what do they want to tell you? And so we're going in, we're spying a little bit on the inside. After I'm done this video, what I'm actually going to do is film a podcast style for every single sign. There's not much I can do today. They're doing gardening outside, so I feel called to do this. I feel like it's the time, and the messages have been really, really dense, so let's use it wisely, right? So back to the reading. Thanks for coming back, and if you're watching later, welcome, and I hope you enjoy it. This is a podcast style stream that I made when I couldn't access video for whatever reasons. I had a few reasons. By the way, Lilith is in Virgo's 6th house, so if you're wondering, and if you're a Virgo, what's going on, that's how it looks, people. lots of little interruptions, lots of little BS moments. I lost a tarot card the other day. I can't find it. I've moved everything. I've looked in every single box, in every single bag, so it's gone. I'll probably end up getting another deck, which is great because I can do a mailer for you guys with the ones I have. Okay, so back to this Storytime podcast, and this is half story, half messages, so just open your heart and listen. It's for all signs, and like I said, I will do individual messages next today, just for fun. I just think it's, take lemons. They're pruning trees outside for the winter, so take lemons and turn it into lemonade, okay? So the person that you are dealing with, they've made a decision, and they're going, and sorry if this is a double up on what you heard before. I'm just going to summarize so I get into the flow and get into the message because it's very clear. So there is definitely somebody who has made a decision about you, or with regard to you, and part of that has to do with the fact that they've been raised a certain way. They have certain values. Like I said, they probably have very kind of, how do you say this, scientific type of upbringing, or maybe a very rigid set of social customs and social values that they have been taught. So you being a wildflower that you are, you kind of break their boundaries, and they don't really know what to do with it. They don't know how to conduct themselves, and the things that they would reject from other people, for some reason, they just keep on accepting it with you, and you don't really understand that either, because from your end of things, the way that things have gone, then maybe you would have expected this situation not to carry through, and maybe in the past you have had other circumstances in which situations didn't pan out because there was too much, how do you say, volatility in the situation. It's volatility. The volatility is happening from your own reactions, from their reactions, from the incongruency of the outward manifestation of your lives. Who you are versus who they are in the world is not congruent, like very different places. You're coming from two different walks of life. However, I feel as though there's this kind of what is congruent is the soul. The soul level is very, very congruent, and for whatever reason, it keeps on pulling them back in towards you. They keep on giving you the benefit of the doubt. They keep on giving you the opportunity. Not that they're giving you it from their perspective. It sounds like that, like I'm giving them the opportunity. Any woman who's listening who deals with guys, they're kind of rolling their eyes with me, like, come on, brother, like whatever. But it is this kind of, but it's not really given an opportunity, because energetically what you offer is a match, right? It's not below or above anyone. And so I feel as though giving this situation an opportunity, but it's not really an opportunity because there's need involved. There's like a yearning, a desire, there's a pull in this situation that keeps them coming back in or reconsidering or being drawn in. So in this latest set of circumstances, it feels as though there has been a lot of external manipulation of the situation. There has been other people, there have been opinions, particularly women and men, young men and women, who in some way want a piece of the pie. And what I said in the first part was that in a certain sense, these people may seem as though they're coveting. Oh, we just went offline again. Nope. And so on a certain sense, this may feel as though these people are coveting one or both of you, but in fact, what they're jealous of, or what they want, is a relationship that's like that. So they're jealous and they're destructive and they're impatient with their own process. But you and this other person are actually sharing the energy that other people want. So they're doing a lot of behaviors that are, predatory, and they're manipulative. They're trying to get involved. They're posing as friends. They're posing as advice givers. They're posing as people who help. But in fact, what they are doing is they're being treacherous, right? And when the situation ends, and if it does, or when it pulls away from each other, then that is when those people will go away, because they will be self-satisfied for what they have achieved, and they will have a lot of meanings and reason and a lot of tactics in order to achieve their goals, to create more volatility in the situation in order to break it up. They will say things like, they are not good for you, you need to walk away from them. And the energy that I'm picking up on is that you're sitting here in some way. I feel as though this person in some way has a higher social status than you do. And so in some way you're sitting there, but you have a high social status as well. It's not like you're some, not that it matters, but certain people, there is this subtext of value in society, let's just face it. So in some way you're sitting there. There's a lot of messages, so sorry if I'm jumping around a little bit, but I'm trying to describe this for you guys. So there are you're sitting there and you're paying attention to this situation. You're paying attention to this individual, to this person, and you kind of on some level know, and each time there's an instant of something happening, it goes deeper and deeper and deeper, and it's frustrating for you because it doesn't actually touch down again and again. It's like close but no cigar, close but no cigar, and you sit there patiently and you wait and you observe, and there keeps on being this kind of mess that is being created around the circumstance. And so you sit there and you pay attention, and this person in some way is fighting an internal struggle between the way they have been taught to do things versus how they feel. I think that they understand that if they pass on the situation, their life will go back to that original way of doing things, and they know that they're going to be not satisfied by that experience, even if they try to create a relationship or a situation with someone who is in your likeness or in the qualities that you offer. At the bottom, they may have actually tried to create someone or create a relationship with someone who is in your likeness. However, when they did so, they found that it was placid, that it was not actually what they needed, because they're learning about energy and what the energy exchange between the two of you is. It's a very long process, and the reason it's a really long process is because that person is very repressed, and they live really closely to very stringent societal rules and societal rules and customs and norms. So more traditional values that say this is okay, this is not okay. So, and they feel responsible too. They have also a very integrated social network of people who have the same kinds of values, who put pressure on them to conform. So it's a very kind of traditionalistic, kind of pressure-filled mentality. It can go as far as race, like people who believe that you should only, kind of connect with people of your own race, class, status, all that kind of stuff. And, I'm not making a judgment. All I'm doing is observing here. So I'm just saying that these things are real. And this is the reason why this person is struggling so much within this dynamic, because they believe themselves to be a certain type of individual. Their identity rests upon the norms and the precepts that they're aligning with, and you come in and you have completely distorted it, and you are the antithesis of what is acceptable. And in some way they're fighting an internal struggle. They're being pressured by people around them to kind of think a certain way. There's a sense of callousness of the people around them. There's a sense of entitlement, callousness, and cold-heartedness in the situation. And the problem with the social environment around this person is, when people in some way do something, like for example, when you're trying to achieve something, your chance of achieving it is mitigated and controlled by your chance of by the belief system that is driving you. So people who have, a very strong belief about something, they push something through with much more ease. So if you're doing something for God, your chance of achievement is much higher than if you're just doing it because you feel like it, right? Because there's that narrative, there's that storyline that you are aligning with, and so that becomes a driving force of motivation. And so I feel like with this person, that is what's been going on. Like, they're dealing with people who feel like it is the right and the dutiful thing to do, to go and they're acting out their beliefs. They're acting out their beliefs, some of which, how do you judge religions and how do you judge cultural values? It's really hard to do. But let's just say across the board, all religions, all cultural values need an update every few hundred years, because what was okay for 300 years ago is not necessarily okay for now. And right now we're so kind of phobic with regard to multiculturalism and all that stuff that we tend to be afraid to even talk about it, so as not to offend, so as to respect another person's beliefs. However, within that becomes in some way inconsistent, because certain beliefs need to be addressed and need to be changed. And just because somebody has the right to do it, just as long as it doesn't affect other people, right? So you can believe and think whatever you want, but at a certain point, there's that boundary between you and others, and your belief system needs to be addressed. And I'm not speaking to one, I'm speaking to all. Like, everything needs to be regenerated. Now, certain people believe that things should be just traditional, and I'm not trying to open up that can of worms. That's a very problematic thing in our society. How do we keep it multicultural? How do we keep it plural, which means a mix of everyone, and still address everybody's needs? There's going to be overlaps, there's going to be paradoxes. And so these people in some way express values that are very specific to one group of people, or one cultural group, one social group. I think it has to do with status. And so they will express to this individual a lot of pressure I'm setting the context. Sorry it's taking so long, but I need to really explain this. They're setting for this person, they're expressing to this person a million excuses or reasons, or even standing in the way of one or both people, of you and the other person, because they're trying to kind of wrangle them back in, like a cowboy with cows, and horses, in some way, trying to wrangle in what is the same, and so when people have more traditionalist values or views, whether they're social, religious, cultural, whatever, they tend to be more more vehement to try to hold those things together. It's for the family, for example, if it doesn't have to be only like religious or cultural. It could be like, you have to stay with the family, you have to keep it in the family, you have to do what they say, because that's how we are going to mobilize. Everybody has a right, again, but that's, anyway, I made those comments already. So they have this, and some of these things are not talked about. Like, I always break it down this way because whatever, that's just my way of doing things. I went to school for this stuff. But when people actually act out these things, they're not saying this like, well, my cultural values are such, and so those are your cultural values, so you should align. What they actually end up doing is a lot of coercive activities and behaviors, and some people are even actually treacherous when they're doing it, or maybe they'll be so angry, that something it's almost like a threat to their identity, right? That's how it feels like. How dare they do this, because this stands against who we are, So they'll do a lot of different things. They'll do things such as judgmental scathing and judging, but there'll be also coercive things like, oh, here's an apple, take a little apple, so there's incentives, incentivizing in both a positive or negative sense. So this person is caught in a web of that, and it's their own will is struggling with them, because they have been taught to think a certain way. They have been taught to think of the world a certain way. They know their place in the world. However, there's something within them that is different. The thing in them that's different is that they are pulling away from, they're questioning it, they're breaking away. Maybe they've had certain experiences and maybe their eyes have been opened. So they're still struggling. There's two parts to them. There's the independent one, and there's the one who's in a specific context. And so I think what's been going on is that it's been twofold. It's been, severalfold, but twofold. There's been issues between you and this person where maybe one or both behaviors have come into conflict. That has been heavily influenced how both people relate, because there's a difference in where you come from. But however, the soul connection is much deeper, and the soul connection is really integrated and connected between you and this individual. And so I feel like you kept on getting drawn in. However, in the recent past, especially in the last 10 months or so, there's been like a change in direction. It's been where more people from the outside started getting involved, and they have their reasons, they have their justifications, some of which are unspoken, which is, letting other people into your relationships is never a good deal. It's never good for the relationship. Word to the wise. And so it's become very volatile between you and this person, and sometimes you feel as though everything's gone and everything's abandoned. However, I feel like time and again there's this energy that keeps pulling you in. You guys got the Ace of Cups, right? And the Eight of Pentacles. So there's a physical connection. There's like a physical, like, this is, you physically feel it, and then you feel it within your torso. So let's okay, so before I get into the future forward of the reading, it's more to do, so when you're sitting here and they're being pulled away by their sisters or cousins or parents or their friends and shamed, and people are homosocial, which means that we relate to each other based on our relationships with other people. So if your friends are not approving of something, your chance of catering to what your friends want is very big. So that's how bullying happens. That's how groupthink works. It's all of these things together. So in some way, you're sitting here, and I feel as though you're a little bit more open. You're a little bit more connected. You're a little bit more advanced because you have fewer things holding you down. One person, you can find yourself in both. If you're watching the other and you're like, I'm not trying to pick on it, I'm identifying more with the one side, so that's why it's speaking from the one side. But you're sitting here and you're maybe a little bit more open. Maybe you have fewer things holding you down and holding you back, and I feel like maybe you have fewer things holding you back, so you're more prepared. Maybe you have had more experiences that challenge norms for you, where you're willing to kind of open yourself up to someone or something that is atypical. Maybe you're kind of more of that type of person. And so you're sitting here, and it's kind of a pain in your butt to be with somebody who's that regressed, you know? It's kind of a pain in your butt that's what you got stuck with. But again, your tolerance is greater because you have yourself. It's like, why do I have to be with the person I was 15 years ago? You know, like, why do I have to be dealing with this? This is my stuff 20 years ago, 30, 10, whatever your thing is. And so in some way you're sitting there, but again, your mentality is that I'm tolerant. Whoever comes to me in this fashion, I'm tolerant, I'm welcoming, this is what the universe wants. I know how to recognize it. So it's like, it's a pain in the butt, but at the same time you're like, you know, that's it. And it usually is the thing that you're like about. It's not necessarily the thing that's so easy to accept, right? So it's like, it makes sense that it would be something that's a challenge for you as well. So of course you get this kind of right-wing whatever mentality person, and this person is kind of woke, and you're dragging them along for however long, and you're allowing this to persist because there's always indication that there's like a glimmer of hope or a glimmer of positivity in the situation, or there's some sense and meaning where it resonates still for you. And I feel as though, how do you say this? So you've been sitting here, and now it's gotten a little bit more pressure filled because it seems as though third parties have gotten involved. And I don't mean just cheating. For some of you it's cheating. For some of you it's just interjection from the social environment, as I said. And so you're sitting there and you're like, how am I? Because you've been in that situation where women have ganged up on you and stolen someone, or men have ganged up on you and pushed someone away. You know, there's lots of those situations. So it's very like it's a very negative reinforcement for a situation. It's like you really want to just step away from it. And you almost did, and you did, and then suddenly the same feelings come back again. It's like WTF moment. It's like, what gives? Why is this keeps on coming around? So I don't think that you're necessarily talking to this individual yet. I don't feel like maybe, but I feel like on a heart-based level, on an energetic level, it's there. And like I live in a very plural city, right? Vancouver. There's a lot of people from different places, and you really see where people are at in terms of, like, I'm very familiar living around different groups of people from different cultures, different religions. It's a very big mix, but when people come here for the first time, they're getting acquainted with the level of learning about how to actually interact with people from other countries. So you just have to kind of let them be. You have to let them work it out and positively reinforce, you know, kind of tolerance and all of this. So it's that kind of energy where you're kind of watching this person, or you're kind of relating to this person, and you have only one life to live. And so whenever I say one life to live, it reminds me of the soap opera, because when I was like 8 years old, I used to, when I stayed homesick or something, I would watch it. So you only have one life to live, but it's really true. Like, how much are you going to sacrifice for a feeling? But it's a very special feeling. It is like some kind of soulmate some type of twin flame connection. And so that's the context, and sorry I had to set it up, but that's essentially the reading, that you're like chilling out and this person keeps coming around, and you would also pull the plug on someone who's wiling out, where it's too messy, too many lecherous energies around the situation. But in some way there's always this push, there's always this kind of natural connection that keeps reappearing and it keeps presenting itself to you, and so much so that this time around I think that you thought it was completely done, it was completely over, and then I think that person figured out some type of mental alternative. So the way they think about it, the way they relate to it, they finally figured out how to separate themselves from it. They finally figured out a way to think about it that does not necessarily directly challenge their values or who they are, and they figured out a way to make sense of that. So they've put that together. It's a fusion, like fusion cooking. They figured out something different, and so I think that that's led to progress. So I feel as though this is like really moving forward in a new direction, really moving forward towards something, and finding some kind of letting the thing in the past to move forward and to ascend in a good direction. Now, whatever that's manifesting for you as, then I feel like that becomes, that becomes a point of tolerance and allowance. So what you need to do is, when you're sitting there, I keep on coming back to this, and I avoided saying this a few times. The feeling is that within your torso, there's this feeling of, it's a special type of feeling that connects to this individual, and it's not really emotion. It's more like there's something else, that it's like a password or something. There's something there that connects two people together. And so I feel as though there is very much this progress forward. Now, what you need to do now, not to mess up your I'm telling you how not to mess up your energy, how to not mess up your energy of, to not mess up your energy of progress, to not mess up your energy of your north node, right? So in order to not mess it up, what you need to do, sit within your energy, and go back into your torso, close your eyes. If you're working, don't close your eyes. If you're driving, don't close your eyes. But really get into your body and sit there for a minute. And I feel like from within it, it's saying, yes, this situation is a go. The universe wants this, right? Like there's like a higher purpose here, and it's affirmative. And so you need to sit within this energy. That energy is a beacon, so you don't actually need to do anything for it to happen, because it's going to come in. And then secondarily, I feel as though, because the social environment on both sides is in some way now identified this as something that's going on. It's like a light in the darkness, and all the bugs fly to the light, right? It's that kind of energy. The light and the darkness is here, and so there's all this kind of attacking, nagging energy, which means that watching too many, YouTube podcasts or tarot card readers, and you'll hear these little things of discouragement, and I'm not speaking ill against anyone, but I feel like they're trying to make what they're doing on YouTube, for example, is that they are trying to hear the energy, but they're not directly in front of it, so they're hearing the little bugs crawling and hearing so it's not that they don't know what they're doing. I just really feel like there is a distraction energy, and it's whoever you click on, wherever you watch is your kind of energetic path, and you've been identified. It's almost like Dark City. There's a movie called, it's kind of like The Matrix, and it's like when you've been identified, they start like kind of creeping after you. And that's how energy works. It's like there's good energy, there's constructive energy, and then there is the energy that is like, oh, what's this? This is a little bit too strong, this stands against what we want. So now it starts coming in as like a point of destruction. And so what you need to be really conscious of is that feeling that you felt in your torso that's so strong for this individual, that persists but is in peril. It's almost like the never-ending story. It's like the nothing is coming in. And so what you need to do in some way is like sit within your torso and really not listen to anybody, including me. Even in this podcast, that's really encouraging, right? I could have said things that could have triggered for you discouraging thoughts about the situation. Oh yeah, it's too much. There's too much difference between them and I, whatever. So I could have done that also unknowingly. So the energy is perilous. That's what I'm trying to say. You're dealing with an energy that is perilous, and your primary goal is to sit within yourself, sit within the affirmative feeling that you have within yourself that you keep on forgetting towards this situation. And don't buy into the negative talk. Don't buy into the negative talk within your own head and around you, because that's that destructive energy of the universe that's trying to creep in, because the light is a little bit too bright in this situation. And so the situation does not have a guarantee of coming together. I have to tell you this, but it does. It's like a really strong connection. And again, you could be thinking like, oh, this is for anybody. But if you're watching this, the few thousand people who watch this, you're all in the same pool. You're all in the same energy field. And if you are dealing with this on your own, then harness that energy. Having said that, you have to allow everything to happen around you in a harmonic way, so it's a gentle touch. You can't influence anyone or anything around you to force the issue. For example, I have somebody who keeps contacting me from my past. This is someone who I've had a relationship with for 10 years. He and I had a very soulmate connection, but it's done, right? And it's done, and he keeps trying to recreate it, but it's no longer organic. So what you need to do in this situation, in this energy that you're sitting in, is allow the organic energy to create for itself what it needs to. And unfortunately, if it should fail or if it doesn't touch down, then I feel like you have to allow it to happen so that in another universe, in another iteration of your identity, it happens, because you can't create that ripple. So it's that real place of tolerance. And this is, I guess, what non-attachment is all about. I'm kind of anti the way that people describe non-attachment, because I want you to attach. I want you to try to connect, because that's what your heart and that's what your torso wants for the situation. But I feel like you have to allow the greater energies of the universe to flush themselves out, and don't work on their side. Don't work on the side of any kind of energy that is destructive to the thing that you're feeling within your torso. Keep on pushing through and keep on trying to manifest this, but also don't be tolerant of it and push past it. And when you need to assert the energy, you will know within yourself. That doesn't mean have an argument with every single person, but when you need to assert the truth, then that's when you assert yourself, and then that's it. But don't go into like over the top craziness. You have to find the fine line between the two things. You have to find the fine line between, acceptance, tolerance, and defining or holding back. It's a very passive sort of energy in terms of holding back, kind of blocking and shielding, certain types of behaviors and circumstances. And so that comes with the awareness. I feel as though the other person in some way understands, even if they don't show it. But I think that if you try to convince them of anything at this point, otherwise, I think that will in some way, that might be a difficult process. That might be a difficult conversation, and it may not end in the way that you wanted it to. You have to in some way now wait for them to come around. And that's what they want to tell you. I think that what they want to tell you is that they're trying to find some kind of alternative to this identity. And I don't think this is about next lives, other iterations. I think that and the cheering and the clapping that you are sensing. Now this is metaphysical, but the cheering and the clapping that you're sensing, or that people are sharing, around in the situation, that's only more manipulation to try to get involved. It's the energy, the destructive energy of the universe trying to seep in. But I think the bottom line is the integrity of the situation, and you need to see that through, and really grounding your feeling with the connection, and allowing everything to in some way manifest in the way that it does. That person is a deep internal struggle over things, and I feel as though there is energy that in some way, I don't even understand. Well, I do understand. I feel like misery loves company, and they try to in some way instill that, but it's not so much. It's like the ravenous nature of human beings, the part of human beings that in some way is predatory, the part of human awareness that is predatory. But I feel as though there will be an offer, and I think that you should just sit tight, and I think that's what they want to tell you, what the universe wants to tell you, is that you need to just you need to keep on focusing on the feeling and the emotion in your abdomen and in your torso, and allow that energy to come back in. And if it doesn't, for whatever reason, if it's just too much, if the mountain's too high in these circumstances, then you have to be peaceful with it. Because even if you try to, I know it's contradictory, fight and yet be peaceful, but it really is, you have to find the fine line and not create real discontinuity of energy. And so basically what you want to do is fight, but then let be peaceful and tolerant. The same tolerance that brought you to this person is the tolerance you need to give to that situation. So hopefully that's insight. And what I'm going to do is 12 videos. Are we going to do 12? Or maybe I should do 6. Let's do, I don't know, I'll figure it out. Please make sure to follow channel 1, 2, and 3. It's going to be really important. And leave a comment and a like on this video. I'm about to read comments, so if you guys want to hang out with me live for 5 minutes after and talk about it before I film the other things, that would be great. Thanks for stopping by, and yeah, I hope this was helpful. Bye.